Welcome to the desk. North Melbourne, great.
Legend.
Brent Harvey, congratulations. It wasn't a surprise to us that you were inducted into the Hall of Fame, but what kind of emotions does it trigger when it actually happens?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I had a text message from Richard while I was at North Melbourne working, and it was like, give me a call when you can. And I gave him a call, and there was people around, and he said, you got to keep this really quiet, but we're going to, and I was just like, wow, but I couldn't show emotion. The coach was there, the assistant coaches were there, and I got off the phone. I just thought, oh wow, this is quite big. So I waited about an hour when I was by myself, and I texted him back and I said, mate, I'm so sorry. I'm very excited. Trust me. I might not have sounded like it, but I was very yeah. It's a huge honour.
So you had to put the phone down and just go, oh yeah, that was just something.
Yeah, I sort of did. Yeah, just one of the mates talking. So it was a little bit different, but I did text him to say thank you. I am very excited.
One thing I've always admired about you, Boomer, as well as playing your footy, and you're a great player, and this is much deserved. You've never forgotten the essence of who you are. In every interview not every interview, in the majority of interviews you've done, you always mention Preston RSL and your family, and it's a real honour for you, mate.
I have to, Rob. I'll probably get punched up if I don't. So no, like I said on stage, when I played so much football with so many good players that had a dream like me to play AFL football, and they didn't get to do that. There was a couple there that played from our junior football club, but a lot of them didn't, and I wore that as a badge of honour to represent them boys when I ran out and played, and I played a few games, so I got to honour them a fair few times, and Preston's where I grew up, and I love it there. I wouldn't change my upbringing for absolutely anything.
Did you ever think you were going to end up at North Heidelberg when you were growing up in Preston?
Yeah. I probably wanted to be honest.
Did you really?
Well, Dad played so much football. Yeah, Mum and Dad with Wayne Johnson there.
Yeah,
Dad played so much football at North Heidelberg. That's sort of what I wanted to do. Him and all his mates. So
who's having a better night? You or your old man, you reckon?
No, I reckon my old man. Well, he actually knows. He's good mates with Jimmy Buckley, so he knows all the Carlton boys.
Yeah.
So this will just be a little bit of reminiscing, I think.
Ageless is a word to describe you, and I know you have been asked countless times over the years about the longevity of your career, but as you get older, do you stop and reflect on it and think, how did I do that?
Not really. I think 'cause I'm still playing whenever I can. I'm the runner for North Melbourne, and I play when I'm not running. So I haven't stopped and just stopped. So I think when I do that, I might think about the career. But for me, the longevity was about winning another premiership and being successful. And I shared that experience at such a young age, at 21. I really wanted to do that before I finished again.
People look at the highlights of you, Boom, and they say, oh God, he was quick. But that wasn't your best quality.
What was, Robbo?
Your best quality was your football nous, your ability to find the ball, but your ability to give it off to someone else. Not all the time. You're a hungry little bastard.
I love the goals.
You love the goals. But your ability to kick it from A to B was high level. How much did that take working on as a player as much as your fitness?
Yeah, I guess my philosophy around football is if you've got the ball, well, not you personally, but if your team's got the ball, the opposition haven't. So I don't see why you kick down the line and go to a 50-50 and make it a contest again. It's all about maintaining possession. So for me, it was about making sure that my skill execution was good, and having pride in what you do and getting the ball to a teammate.
You were a gun player, but I remember Danny Laidley when she was coaching the Kangaroos. I can't remember if she said it to me or she said it in a press conference, and I hope she said it publicly and not privately, but she said Boomer had 35, but what did he do for the other 97 minutes of the game? Yeah. And it was the first time a coach had put a champion of the game like on notice, on record. So
totally agree.
Defend. Defend. What are you doing to defend? And look where the game's got to on the defensive side. So Danny Laidley was, I wouldn't say before his time, but she was cutting edge.
No, she was, and she did say that to me in team meetings in front of people, and then publicly as well, because you're right, if you got the ball 35 times, you got the ball for about 2.5 minutes, I think they worked out. And that's not a long time. So what are you doing for another 97.5 minutes? And that's defending. So well ahead of her time, and a super coach. I mentioned all four coaches.
Yeah, you did.
Darren Crocker was only there for a short period of time as a caretaker coach, but Dennis Pagan was absolutely unbelievable, my premiership coach, so really soft spot for Dennis. Danny Laidley, unbelievable. Tactically, as good as I've seen.
Yeah.
Darren Crocker, loved the bloke, still hanging around the football club.
Shin boner.
And shin boner, absolutely. And Brad Scott was a super coach. And you know what?
Got some good footy out of you, Brad, didn't he?
Underrated as a coach, Brad Scott.
Yeah.
Just a quick one on Dennis. How do you think he'd go coaching today?
I don't know if Dennis is watching. I don't think he'd go too good, because the way he used to be so ruthless to us, it wouldn't work right now.
No.
I'm sure he could change his ways, but I wouldn't change Dennis the way he coached. He was spectacular.
So 44 and still playing, and I think at the time of your retirement, a lot of us thought you could keep playing.
Yeah.
But it was hugely important to you, wasn't it, being a one-club player? Is that one of the most treasured aspects of your career when you look back on it? Because you even mentioned North Melbourne many times this evening.
Yeah, no, absolutely it was. And I did have small opportunities maybe to go to other clubs, but for me, a lot of people talk about the 1 year I potentially could have played. I like to talk about the 21 years I did play.
Yeah.
And right next to my name and 432 games, it says North Melbourne, not North Melbourne / somebody, and that was super important to me.
I love the story about playing with your son, Coops, and playing with Shane at North Heidelberg. You got your son over here, Hudson. He's dressed as a treat. How old's Hudson?
Hudson's 10 years old.
Well, I reckon you might probably get a game with him, and that'll make you, what, 50,
Yeah,
50 years of age?
maybe about 50. I'm not sure I'll get to play with Hudson.
What do you think about Dad getting in the Hall of Fame, Hudson?
Yeah, good.
Yeah?
He's pretty shy, little Hudson, so I said, do you want to come on stage with me? He's like, do I have to talk? No, I don't want to come on.
What do you love most about Dad playing footy?
Well, we played the most games.
Pretty big claim.
Do you play?
Pardon?
Do you play?
Yes.
Do you run around and bounce the ball like your dad did?
Yeah.
Have you watched many of his highlights, Hudson?
Pardon?
Have you watched many of his highlights? Have you seen how good he was?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
impressed you most?
Pardon?
What impressed you most about Dad's highlights?
Well,
You know what I say, the 7 bounces and a point.
Yeah.
He watches that a fair bit with his cousins, the one where I kicked that long point.
Oh, that's right.
Good on you, Hudson.
Well
Looking
done,
very
Hudson.
sharp tonight. Well, we like to summarise your career on these kind of nights, but you tell me, if someone was to ask you, how would you summarise Brent Harvey's career? What would you say?
I would probably say consistent. I think because I played for a long period of time, the consistency has to be there, because if you don't have consistency, after 30, trust me, they get you out the door pretty quick. So I'd like to say consistency and continuity. I was one, and I still don't like it where players get rested after a couple of big games, a couple of long training sessions. I was all about continuity. So I was going to say 2 words. I'd say continuity.
Well done, buddy.
Consistency.
Very humble. You're
Well
an
done,
absolute
Boom.
legend. Thank you
Fantastic,
so
mate.
much
Thanks
for
very
joining
much,
us.
guys. Cheers.